YouTube Life and what's good? It's your girl Francine. Today is Wednesday. Hopefully, I am taping this on Tuesday, so that really depends on whether or not I edit this today or tomorrow. I'll put it here what day it'll be because it might be Thursday. It might be Thursday. I said I promise I'll be back on Wednesday. It might be Thursday. Anyway, today we were talking about not what I planned on talking about this week. I actually planned out my videos for the week, but today's video would have taken way longer than I have to record right now. I'm doing, spoiler alert, I'm doing season 2 and season 3 of Insecure next week. So if you are one of the few people who actually watched my first episode of that, I'll link it here if you want to watch it before next week, but that will be next week's video. Today we're talking about something that probably isn't going to be much of a long video, but I kind of wanted to talk about it because I think it fits the niche of my channel with the nerd concepts, kinda. I guess this is somewhat nerd culture, and that is about a show unlike Insecure that, you know, I just started watching it even though it's coming towards the end. This show I've been watching pretty much since the beginning, and that is Rick and Morty, right? And this show has a lot of gripes to it. I already made a video talking about toxic fan bases, and this is one that can get pretty toxic. So this is an unpopular opinions type video, so if you do not agree with what I'm about to say, that's fine. I don't even 100% completely agree with what I'm about to say, but I do think that it is a opinion that I wanted to share and see if other people agree, like what I did with the Chadwick Boseman one, like what I did with the Star Wars one. This is another one where I'm like, am I the only person that feels this way? Because I feel like I'm not the only person that feels this way. So let's get into what I want to talk about, right? So if you do not know, if you do not follow the show Rick and Morty, it is now on its 5th season. The first episode of the 5th season came out on Sunday, Father's Day. And one thing about this show, in my opinion, is that, unlike with any good show, there's always the idea of jumping the shark, right? If you know anything about TV tropes, jumping the shark is essentially when you have a great show, you have an amazing show, and then something happens, and then everything comes to crap. It started from Happy Days, right? When Fonzie literally jumped the shark. That was what that came from. And a lot of times when you get good TV shows, something happens, or like a season comes and you're like, this is where I'm dropping off, right? And most TV shows have this, most good TV shows have this, either that or they end too soon. Right? They get canceled after like the first or second season and you don't really get to see how it ends, and it's kind of upsetting. And unless you are in some like Arrested Development situation where they ruin it after bringing it back, usually you kind of have to live with your head down knowing that it's not going to have an ending to it, right? But you know, that's the kind of thing with good TV shows. It could either go one way or the other. There's not many shows that I know of personally, you can let me know in the comments, that ended well, in the sense that like it was a good show and it ended well. Like Breaking Bad is one, it ended pretty well. I used to watch Orphan Black, that was a great show and it ended pretty well. But I can't really name any of them for you because most of my favorite shows ended horribly or are still on and should have ended, i.e. Walking Dead, i.e. The Simpsons. Like, why is that show still on the air? But one thing that I realized about Rick and Morty is when you look at the progression of the seasons, the first and the second season are peak television. In my opinion, good comedy, funny, it has a great storyline that it doesn't always have to go towards the storyline. There's different one-off episodes that kind of have its own little story, and it's not really about the storyline, even though it does develop the characters and it develops the idea of the show. And you know, there's little meta jokes in there, and you know, the dark humor and the dry humor sometimes, and the wittiness and the sarcasm that comes with the show. It's very funny, and I am not like most of the fanboys who are like, you have to have a very high IQ to be able to understand this show. I don't agree with that. I don't think it really takes much. It's just a funny show that has a funny premise. It's science fiction, so it does kind of have that in it, but in reality, it's not that much different than a lot of other Adult Swim shows that kind of have a more up there, weird concept to it. But the thing about Rick and Morty is like the 3rd season brought most of the hype that this show got, in my opinion. The first 2 seasons were peak. It was great. If you were an Adult Swim person, you've seen it, you've heard of it, this is your type of comedy. But the 3rd season gave us the Szechuan sauce, right? The 3rd season gave us Pickle Rick, right? The 3rd season brought most of the fandom that is now not the niche audience that something like an Adult Swim show has. and in my opinion kind of changed the concept of the show. Because when you look at the 4th season of this show, which happened last year in 2019, the concept of the show kind of changed, right? Because the first, like I said, first 2 seasons, peak comedy. 3rd season, pretty good, solid season. I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. It wasn't my favorite, but it definitely had great episodes. The 4th season, essentially, and I think even the creators of the show realized this, was essentially to appease ratings, to appease people who are still watching Adult Swim cable, right? Because most people don't have cable, and to appease people who may have just started the fandom because they saw, oh, Pickle Rick, and they want to see what the show is about, and they're trying to make it more interesting to other audiences. And again, I am not a gatekeeper of TV shows, movies, and music, right? I've never been that type of person. I hate people like that. So if they want to make it better for more broader audience, great. However, to me, it took away from kind of the authenticity of the show. It essentially devolved into random is funny. It devolved into, we're not really going to keep up with much of the storyline that we established in the last 3 seasons. We're kind of just going to make funny jokes and it'd be funny, haha, right? And though I watched the full 4th season, I've actually watched it 3 times now to try to get a better understanding, because the first 2 seasons I've seen so much that I can like name the episodes in order. Like, that's how much I've seen them. The 3rd season also, especially the first half, I can name the episodes in order. But the 4th season, I wanted to watch it enough to really, because maybe, you know, I was liking it because I watched it so much and I got used to it, but in reality, I just couldn't get into the show. Like, it was funny in some cases and not really, actually some episodes weren't funny at all. Like, they were just trying to make a meta joke that really wasn't coming through, right? And so in my opinion, there was only like 4 or 5 episodes of the 4th season that were really even worth watching again. And like I said, if you saw the 4th season, you can tell that they were also feeling like they weren't able to please everyone, because there is a very big episode in that season, the train episode, right, where they're like, haha, we're making meta jokes about the fact that we have different things that everyone wants from the show. The ratings want this, and, you know, woke people want this, and cancel culture trying to do this, and, you know, I get the point, which is why I said this is more so of an opinion piece than it is really a critique, because you can't please everyone. Right? In any fandom, you can't please everyone. There's plenty of people, like I said, I made a whole video about Star Wars and the Star Wars sequel trilogy and how horrible it was. And then I had people in my comments that said, actually, I liked it. And I was like, okay, maybe that's for you. Wasn't for me. I was a huge fan of the originals, and I kind of had a place in my heart for the prequels, but nah, it wasn't for me. Maybe the 4th season is someone's favorite season. If you came into it just looking for the funny jokes and the ha-has and the meta humor and the social commentary that comes with the show, which I also enjoy, but wasn't really what I was getting from that season, then great. But after watching the 4th season, I watched it all over the weekend, last weekend, before the next episode for the 5th season came out. I was like, do I actually really want to watch this? Because in my opinion, with any good show that kind of jumps the shark in a way, it feels like continuing to watch it is a disservice to me, right? Like, I stopped watching The Walking Dead because after watching the 6th season, I realized this is going to be a disservice to me, okay? There's like, it's so many shows where you realize that the spark is gone, and it's like, do I continue to watch this or do I just let it go? And there's only a few shows that I'm still holding on to, even though I know they're not great. Like, I watch Archer. That show has devolved into something completely different than what it was in the original one, but you know, it's like, I don't want to let that show go, okay? Don't want to let it go. And one thing I also noticed in regards to Rick and Morty is that most shows on Adult Swim don't last that long. If you looked at any of the shows on Adult Swim, most of the popular shows on Adult Swim, literally the longest one I think that's run is The Venture Brothers. That's probably the longest one. I think that was like 7 years, 7 seasons. But for the most part, shows that come on Adult Swim kind of have a short life because they're supposed to. Like, they have these like weird premises, like Frisky Dingo and, you know, Harvey Birdman or whatever. Like, they have some crazy premises. Even Robot Chicken, I think, only had like 4 seasons. Like, it's weird premises that really are supposed to last for long periods of time, but because Rick and Morty gained so much more popularity outside of the Adult Swim population, right, it became its own thing, and now, in my opinion, has lost the spark that it had in the original first 2 seasons and most of the 3rd season. And yes, I do understand, again, that you can't please everyone, and that's what they've tried to say in that train episode. But after coming to the conclusion I was gonna keep watching, I watched the first episode of the 5th season, and I didn't hate it. Let's talk about it. If you haven't seen it, it is on YouTube for free, and I know why they put it on YouTube for free, because another thing that we have to establish is that no one has cable. Like, no one's watching Adult Swim when Adult Swim comes on. If you still have cable, how? Right? So unless you want to pay for HBO Max, you're not going to be able to see it until it somehow comes back on Hulu, because it takes forever to get on Hulu. The seasons, you have to wait for the whole season to be over. So they put it on YouTube because they know people are just going to pirate it. So in doing so, they made it so that we can watch it, and I get that they're trying to accommodate everyone. Again, makes sense. And the first episode wasn't horrible, you know. It got to the trope of Rick having his nemesis, right? He's always fighting someone and always making issues with someone. It's talking about Jerry and Beth's relationship, which has been an ever-growing situation throughout this show. Kind of ignored Summer, but okay, cool. And it also talks about Morty and his love for Jessica, which is another thing that has been ever-going joke throughout the whole show. And though it's not one of my favorite episodes, I think that is a good start to see that they're actually bringing back things that people like myself, who started off the show knowing about the characters, knowing about the canon of the show, can kind of understand and get used to. So I am very much hopeful for season 5, but it still makes me feel like it's going to go on for too long. Like, it still gives me that fear of, like, losing a good show before it, like, maybe I should just escape now while I can. But that's just me. Like I said, this is an Unpopular Opinions episode. Like I have a TV show. An Unpopular Opinions video. I do these every once in a while. And like I said, next week we will have Insecure season 2 and season 3. So look forward to that. But with that being said, I didn't have a lot of time to record and edit this week, so I decided to make this one. If you agree, and let me know in the comments what you feel about the show, if you're a huge fan of the show like myself. If you don't agree, if you're like, girl, shut up, this is the best show ever made, I'm okay, cool. Like I said, I'm not gonna stop watching it. It's really made me think how often good shows end up devolving into mush because of ratings, because of bringing in new fans. And I'm not trying to be a toxic fanboy who is like, we can't be making the normies watch the show. Like, I get it. Like, I'm not a gatekeeper of the show, but it's just when you have a good show, it really sucks to see it like change so drastically, I guess. So maybe I am somewhat of a gatekeeper. Oops. So with that being said, if you like this video, hit the like button. Like I said, if you have any comments, if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions, any concerns, any threats, don't put them in the comments. I will block you. And if you haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it, y'all. And I will see y'all on Friday and or Saturday. Again, this week is pretty busy, so I don't know how I'm going to be able to edit, if I'm going to be able to edit the video I have at the end of this week in time. And I'm really looking forward to that one because it's going to be hilarious. It's a girlfriend take a black car. I haven't done one of those in a minute either, so be ready for Friday/Saturday, depending on what day it is. And I'll see you then. Bye.